Welcome back to the Peerless members only video group. I am Caitie North, and today we are going to be painting a flower of life mandala. So if you are unfamiliar with sacred geometry, it is so cool. It's like the perfect balance of science and math and nature and all of the things combined, and you can go down the never-ending rabbit hole of sacred geometry and where to find it, and so many different kind of religions and civilizations and just ancient civilizations. Like, it's so cool. So today we're gonna do this simple flower of life shape. So I'm gonna teach you how to draw it, and then we're just going to make it kind of like a free flow painting with our Peerless complete edition. So it's gonna look kind of like a rainbow. It's right there. A rainbow coming out for the center, and then we're gonna do a couple little things just to kind of brighten some areas, but really just to kind of get an idea of how to start drawing sacred geometry. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's get started. Alright, so we're just going to jump right in, and the first thing you're going to need to do is draw a line down the center of your page, and that is going to be the center of your flower of life. And the compass that I'm using is the one that dials bigger or smaller in the center, which means it'll always stay the exact same size. Some of those other compasses that come off from the side that you get in kind of those like math geometry, you know, school kits are great, but you have to have a little bit more patience because they're very easy to make bigger or smaller circles. And for creating the flower of life, you want every single circle to be the exact same size. So to start, we're going to place our little sharp point on that center line, and then you're going to create your first circle. So basically what this flower of life does is we're creating circles off of each other where all of the intersecting lines are at. So where the top diameter part of that circle and that center line connect, you're going to put your sharp pinpoint there again, and then you're going to create your second circle. So once you've kind of gotten those, then you can start to move around the edge of that first circle, and that is going to create your seed of life. So you can see I'm taking my point and putting it on where the two circles have now meet, and I'm not on the center line anymore. And then you're going to go all the way around to the next point where the two circles connect, and then do another one. And then you'll be able to see in a second that once I've done this circle, you get your first little inside petal. And you can see up there on that right inside circle, that is our first petal of the flower of life, which is also the seed of life, is the smaller section of it. But to get that first section, you just go through all of the intersecting points of the circle, and those are going to be your guidelines basically for where you're doing the next circle. Alright, so with that last circle, when I take the compass away, you can see that this is the basic shape that we are going for. This is called the seed of life. And so the seed of life is actually just the very center of your flower of life, but it shows you what that pattern is going to look like. So now that you are done with those circles going around the very edge of that center circle, you're going to use those outer circles where they intersect, and you're going to put the sharp point of your compass, and then you're going to continue all the way around all of those intersecting circles, and that is going to create your next row of seed of lives all the way around that center one, and it's going to kind of create that ongoing flower pattern. You just want to make sure that wherever those lines connect, that's where your center point is going to be. And it's a little bit tricky when you first start, so don't feel like overwhelmed that you're not getting it right away. It just does something to your brain a little bit. You're like, what is happening? But as soon as you kind of like get that general where you're supposed to place those circles, something clicks and you're like, oh wait, that's actually a lot simpler than I thought it was. So if it takes you a couple times, don't worry, but just know the more perfect your circles are with size, it's going to be a million times easier, and just a little bit of patience to kind of go all the way around. So, and you can make this as big or small as you want. So this one, I think I make like 2 rows off the center circle. but you can see now when it's going a little bit faster. I slowed it down in that first clip just to kind of get you a little bit, you know, slower to see exactly where I'm putting it. But you can see how this pattern just kind of creates itself, and you can make it as big or small as you want to. So pretty cool. Once you're done with those, I'll check back in a minute, and then we're going to create the border of our flower of life. All right, so for the border, you're going to open your compass from the center point all the way to the farthest out circles. And I'm just gonna connect all of those. And then the further out inner circles, I'm gonna make another smaller border. And then after that, I'm gonna open it even further because I want there to be kind of a, like a henna inspired kind of design on the outside. So I want it to be a little bit bigger, and then another border around there just to kind of close it off. And then after that, I'm going to use my ruler and I'm going to divide my flower of life into 4 quadrants and divide each of those quadrants into 3s. I use the inside lines of the flower of life as my guides, but it's pretty simple too. You could just do four quadrants, and then each quadrant gets divided into 3s too. So once we are done with that, we are going to be adding a little bit of our design to our border. All right, so now we're going to do our border, and coming off that very top section that we have divided out is just kind of like that swooshing, kind of like a kiss shape or a little S line down towards the center, and then back up to all of those points that we just marked out. And then after that, we're going to do a little bit of erasing just to kind of give our page a little bit of cleanliness, and then we will be able to get painting. All right, so now we are ready to start painting. We want this to be vibrant and bright, and we are going straight from our paint palette, which we were using the Peerless Watercolors Complete Edition. And you can see right on the page, I am going straight from my sheet, no diluting whatsoever. And then once I get that color down, I'm going straight to the next one. So the first one I did is the, let's see, Scarlet. And then the second one that I'm working on now is the Flesh Tint. And then the next one I go to is the Brilliant Yellow. Next one after that, we are doing the Light Green, and then a row of the Dark Green, and then Sky Blue to, do I do a dark blue? Yes, I do. Into the Deep Blue, and then into the Purple. So this, I feel like, is more of a tutorial on how to use a compass and get that flower of life pattern. But this is kind of a great little warm up to do too with your paints and just seeing how they go. I am adding my paints to the edge of the ring of it once I've already wiped off all of the extra with the paint before it. So just to kind of give you an idea. And you can go back to when it's wet and kind of add some more colors in there. But basically we are just creating a rainbow, wet on wet technique, all the way to the edge, which will end on the pink, just to kind of play with this. It's also a great way to see all of the colors and the tones if they're fully saturated out of the Complete Edition. So I will check back in a minute once we are done with those inside rings in that rainbow shape. right, so we have done all the rings, the rainbow rings, all the way to that deepest purple. And so now we are going to be doing those little henna inspired designs on the outside. And I'm using that pink. I'm not connecting it to the purple just yet because I want there to be a blend there, but I don't want the purple to completely take over the pink because it's so much more of a saturated and dark tone versus the pink. So I'm kind of giving it a barrier and letting that purple dry a little bit. And then once I go all the way around, I am going to resaturate the purple and the pink just a little bit. You can see now too, I'm comfortable enough with that purple being dried. It's not going to blend all the way into my pink, and connect those two pieces that are missing. All right, so now that we've finished our pink all the way around our border, we are going to be doing the blue. And so this one I am going to want to let dry 100% before I put the blue down because I don't want there to be any blending between the pink and the blue. So after about 5-10 minutes, I come back, and now that that pink is 100% dry, I'm going to put my sky blue on the outside border of that pattern all the way around that circle. then for the final ring, I am going to use the light green and go along the last little circle, a very skinny one that I have created, to finish the border in that light green. All right, so the next layer we are going to do is we are going to use the, let's check, I think we are using the deep yellow. Yeah, we're gonna use, actually, just kidding. We are going to use the orange yellow, and we are going to resaturate the petals inside the red center with the orange, and then bring them past that darker red and orange area into the yellow. And so you're going to get a little bit more of those pop of those flower of life petals. You can see in a minute when I go to the next ring of petals how they kind of brighten up that center, and you can kind of see the flower of life design a little bit more. And then the next ones we are going to use, I am using the light green, and I'm going between the light green area on the petals and these little kind of triangle, but rounded triangle shapes coming off that main flower of life in the middle there, and then just kind of connecting those with the light green to kind of give that pattern a little bit more structure. And then after that, I love the way that it kind of looks and the simplicity of it. So I decide not to do any more painting, but we're gonna finish it off with some white highlights. So I'll check back in a minute when we're ready to do that. right, so now we are going to go over all of our pencil lines, and you can use a white gel pen, you can use white ink, or maybe you can even use like a gouache or anything like that too, would be really pretty. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of make it light and a little bit more airy, and I love the contrast between the white and all of the rainbow colors too. So just as patiently as you can, and I'll speed it up a little bit towards the end so it's not just like 10 minutes of watching me draw white lines. But that is going to be our finishing touches on our Flower of Life tutorial and a painting warm-up. So I will see you in a little bit. And to finish off our henna design, I am just using my paintbrush, and I'm going to add 3 little teardrops from the centers of all those lower points of the design, and just to kind of give it just a cute little border. And then now we're done. So this is our completed Flower of Life mandala, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and if you try this tutorial, please tag us on Instagram. We would love to see your paintings.